Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Bullcast. My name is Jenna, joined with Kayla, and today we have a very special segment on crystals that we'd love to share with you guys. A quick little disclaimer, we are not claiming that these crystals have any medicinal properties. They're used in a lot of different situations, but we are not claiming that they are used for medical reasons. So Kayla, tell me a little bit about how you got into crystals.
Well, I started collecting crystals when I was a kid, actually, and I just loved picking up rocks. My grandparents would travel and they would collect the rocks and bring them home. And it wasn't until 2018 I started working at Metaphysical Shop and really dove into, the history and what each crystal means, metaphysical properties. There's so many different cultures that believe, that these crystals have metaphysical properties to help them. But yeah, that's how I got into the crystals, and I'm really excited to be here to discuss them.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you so much for bringing in your collection of so many beautiful crystals. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what crystals you brought in for us today?
Yes, so I have brought in this big crystal right here is a big citrine druze. And then I also have right here is a smoky quartz. This is called apophyllite right here. And then I have petrified wood as well. This stone actually my grandmother gave me probably about 12, 15 years ago. And then this is another petrified wood right here. I also have clear quartz piece. And then I do have an amethyst right here. And then I have a carnelian. I also have tiger eye right here.
Very pretty. That's one of my favorites.
Yes. And then I have a stilbite crystal, which is also known as a zeolite. So that's a really cool crystal. And then I have a vandonite crystal right there. Very shiny. And then I have a septarian. This is another piece my grandmother gave me.
Gorgeous.
And then right here we have a fossil. This one is an ammonite nautilus. And then we do have other two fossils right here. These are called orthoceros fossils. And then I do have a labradorite that's very shiny. And then I have here all like my little tumble stones and crystals that I can carry around with me. And so yeah, that's what I brought in today.
Beautiful. So many sizes and shapes. So how do you use crystals?
Well, crystals, in different cultures, they believe that these stones had metaphysical properties to help you. And it's the same thing as walking barefoot on the ground. You're absorbing the negative ions from the earth. And you're doing the same thing when you hold a crystal. You're absorbing the energy. Actually, the clear quartz, scientifically speaking, you can find this in your watches. The quartz has a certain hertz frequency. So that's really neat, really interesting to learn about.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know they were in watches.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then also about, the placebo effect. It all plays a role in, what you believe and how to confidence. If you want to, you feel like you want to, be more confident and speak and stuff. So that's what different cultures, they use these for. So
cool. Awesome. So what would you say is your favorite crystal?
Oh gosh, I have so many. Probably rose quartz.
Oh yeah.
I would say is my favorite crystal, and actually a lot of people will tend to go towards the rose quartz in the shops that I've worked at.
Right.
Also with the amethyst and clear quartz. But rose quartz is just a really good stone to help. I create affirmations, and most people do. They create affirmations with the stones. They learn about it in the books, and then they use that and to like help them, create a better mindset for themselves. So yeah, I just love the crystals. Carnelian is another favorite of mine.
Yeah.
Very creative stone. It's also known for the artist stone.
Okay.
So a lot of people who are artists and painters, they will use that stone to help them keep the creative flow going.
So I heard you mention like creating affirmations. How would you create affirmations?
Well, basically what you do is, like, let's say for rose quartz, for instance.
Okay.
Rose quartz is, metaphysical properties are love. It's good for healing and the heart, as in like emotional sense.
Right.
So I would create an affirmation, and I would look in the mirror and I would tell myself that I love myself. I'm worthy of love. I deserve love.
I love
so
that.
it's that's how you create the affirmation.
Right,
So,
right,
and it
right.
does rewire the brain into believing that. So, and that's what so many different people and learning about so many different things of what people believe and the stuff. So yeah.
Awesome. Another question. So you mentioned the fossils, right? So maybe do you have a little bit of history about like maybe where you got the fossil?
Well, the fossils, they come from really all over. I know the Orthoceras, they can find this in the Baltic Seas. Actually, little history there is that it is actually part of an extinct squid creature, which is known as a cephalopod.
Oh, cool.
So that's just really, really, really cool to learn about. The fossils, they're about probably, I want to say, around 400 billion years old.
Oh my gosh.
So, I mean, it's really cool. I mean, crystals have been around for millennia. I mean, they've been around for so long.
They have. Awesome. Cool. So another question I had was, is there any resources that people could reach out for to learn maybe more about crystals?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many books that I have and that I have collected over the years. The Crystal Bible by Judy Hall has a lot of descriptive metaphysical properties in there. She even has the history, the geological portions, the chemical equations of the minerals of the crystals. She has 3 volumes of them, and then there's another book called The Pocket Book of Stones by Robert Simmons, and that's a really cool, really awesome crystal or book. And then there's other book, Why Woo Woo Works. I forgot the author's name, but I did put it in the description box in our YouTube channel, so people will be able to find all that resources.
Awesome.
But that book actually talks about more of the science behind it. He talks about how he's a scientist and he wants to debunk all this stuff and come find out there's so much different cultural and stuff in here, and so that's a really cool book to refer to. So
Right, there's so much to learn, and there's so much to learn to this day, which is pretty awesome. So I noticed you have a tiger's eye here on the table. Is it this one right here?
yes.
Awesome. So do you want to tell me a little bit about this gorgeous crystal?
So tiger eye is really good for confidence, self-confidence. It helps you believe, like many people do, they believe that it helps you believe in yourself to go towards something and achieve your goals.
Right.
So it's also really, people believe that it's good for protection, to travel.
Right, right.
So it helps you, feel safe and calm. Also helps you kind of feel more adventurous too. So that's a really cool stone. A lot of people will get the tiger eye. It looks cool. Another metaphysical property is that with emotional sense, it can help you figure out why you're feeling a certain emotion, help you get in tune with yourself.
Right.
Amethyst is also another one that
This
people,
one right here?
yeah, amethyst is another crystal that a lot of people will buy.
Right.
So many different people, in different cultures, they will help you. The crystal is supposed to help you tap into like your intuition more. So
Yeah.
it's help, feel more like you believe in your intuition, like you trust yourself.
I love that.
So it's a really good stone for that.
And so how would I practice that? For example, like with the tiger's eye, for its self-confidence like properties, how would I channel that into my day-to-day life with the tiger's eye?
So basically, what the books have described and what other cultures have said, and I've met so many different people who have told me this as well. Basically, you just hold a crystal and you sit and you meditate, And I really truly believe in the power of affirmation. So I love that so many different people have told me in different cultures they've come, even the Native Americans, they love turquoise.
Oh.
They told me about the turquoise, but the tiger eye, basically you write down the affirmation, you write the metaphysical property of what it means, and that's like your affirmation for the day. That's like your kind of setting that intention, you know, so yeah.
Awesome. So I heard you mention you use crystals in meditation, right? Maybe you can describe a little bit about that?
Yeah, so meditation really, it's the same thing with mindfulness meditation. So when you are, you know, you feel stressed or anything, you would just hold the stone and you would just kind of rub it, and you're absorbing that energy.
Yeah, I've heard of that. They actually, I think they make crystals that have like a groove that you can put in your hand and you can soothe yourself with.
Those are called worry stones.
Yes.
So they have them in your pocket, and like if you're having a panic attack, just having anything really, it's not necessarily just crystals, but having anything in your pocket kind of gets your mind off of what you're thinking or what you're panicking about. So that's a really cool thing to have.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much, Kayla, for coming on to the podcast today to share a little bit about the world of crystals.
Thank you for letting me be here.
Of course, we were excited to have you. We have a very special guest today. Her name is Layka, and she does comedy shows in St. Petersburg and Tampa. So we're very excited to have her.
Social anxiety. Make some noise if you have social anxiety. Yeah. That's the last thing you guys want to do. That's being like, clap it up if you don't have both your hands. Yeah. People without social anxiety don't realize how easy their lives are. Like, they don't have to worry about not being socially awkward in day-to-day situations, you know? They also don't have to worry about being socially awkward in dangerous situations. Like, take kidnapping, for example. When a person without social anxiety thinks about being kidnapped, all they have to worry about is how they'll, like, fight back, you know? But I, as a person with social anxiety, when I think about being kidnapped, I have to worry about the small talk I would have to have with my captors. Because I imagine myself being thrown into the back of their van. They're up in the front talking, and I'm like, God, I'm being so rude. I feel like I gotta say something to them. And then I finally work up the courage to lean up there. I'm like, hey guys, I just wanted to introduce myself. Just wanted to say you guys are doing a great job. Wanted some feedback, what I could do better next time. Wanted to make sure I wasn't too much of a bother to drug and take off the street, right?
Hello there, everybody with the Bullcast. Today, this evening, we have a very special guest, as mentioned, Layka. She is a USF St. Pete student majoring in the multimedia journalism major as well, and she's a senior. But did you also know that she does stand-up comedy?
Yeah.
Tell me more about that.
Yeah, I've been doing stand-up comedy about a year and a half now, and I've just been doing it while I've been going to USF, so I mostly stay in St. Pete when I can, kind of go around the Tampa Bay area and even beyond that. So yeah.
So how did you pursue that? What made you pursue the comedy?
So I feel like a lot of people always say that they've always known that they wanted to do it, but I didn't know that I wanted to do comedy until I was about 15 or 16. In high school, I would just watch a lot of old Saturday Night Live and stuff, and I was like, oh, writing and just doing that kind of stuff seems really cool. I'd love to do that. And then I kind of figured you have to do you have to do either sketch comedy or improv or stand-up to kind of get there, and stand-up kind of became my thing out of all of them. So yeah.
Out of all of them, okay. Yeah. And how do you balance that with being a student, being two jobs, right?
You have
two jobs and you're a stand-up comedian. How do you balance that in your daily routine?
Yeah, it's definitely difficult doing school is, like my mom says, she always says school's the main thing, and she's definitely threatened to take stand-up away from me before. But yeah, school, stand-up, work. Luckily stand-up's all at night, so most of it's usually on like weeknights you'll be free to do stuff. So you kind of have to balance that with like the social life aspect as well. But luckily a lot of my friends are stand-ups now, so like, you know, I kind of like, I get to do stand-up while also being with my friends.
Being with your friends.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good balance then. And to have the social life, it's important,
Yeah.
and making those new other connections in the field of comedy, right? It's
Yeah.
not easy.
Yeah.
And on that same note, actually, how do you face any, or have you faced any challenges being a young woman in comedy?
Definitely, yeah. I think I'm like the youngest female comic in the like St. Pete, Tampa scene. So it's like definitely, you know, me already being in college, I'm kind of a little different than most of the other people. And it's just, I always like to make a joke that like I'm 21 and then I'll be hanging out with like 35-year-old men just like on the weekend, and it's fun. Like you really do meet a lot of great people, and the challenges have definitely there's definitely been more positives than the challenges. So.
Than the challenges.
Yeah.
Well, that's really good then in that aspect. Because I know there can be some criticism towards female in any
yeah.
aspect of fields, even in our field and
Yeah.
journalism, there can be questions about why we want to pursue. And on that note, what is a favorite memory that you've had or favorite venue that you've actually performed at?
So I can't think of like a specific memory, just because I feel like any time that I got to like hang out with a bunch of comics like after a show or an open mic or something, those are just like the best times. You just kind of sometimes go out to a bar or something and hang out and just, you know, make jokes and just keep the fun going, you know. And then my favorite venue, there's like a lot in Tampa and St. Pete, but I think the one that everyone really strives to get into is Side Splitters in Tampa. That's definitely, and it's just great to be there and perform. So that's probably one of my favorites.
Very nice. That definitely sounds like it's a requirement to get into it. It takes a lot of time. So to have those connections, like we say, it's important in any field.
Mm-hmm.
And so how do you incorporate your skills being a digital communications multimedia major here on USF campus? How do you incorporate those skills into your stand-up comedy?
Yeah, so going into like the communications field, I always you know, since I started college, I knew I wanted to do comedy eventually. I didn't start until like a year and a half ago, but I was like, I'm gonna start doing it, and like communications will kind of help me get there, I think, because like, especially now to become like a popular stand-up comic, you have to really market yourself, kind of, like whether that's like social media, posting videos of your own clips, your own like stand-up, like just showing everybody what you can do. You really have to like know how to use social media. You have to know how to network with people, and even like video storytelling is one of the classes that we take in the major, and that's really helped me with just like recording my sets and, you know, showing people.
And doing a little bit of that post-production,
Exactly,
right? You do
yeah.
a little bit of that in addition to being in production, you're on camera, right?
Yeah, definitely. Like you really have to start putting captions on your videos now and like cutting them well, and yeah, so definitely like some of my classes have helped a lot.
That's great that you've been able to have that multi-use into the multimedia aspect, since we are in a digital area of the society now. Do you think it's going to change, or is it going to benefit you in a way, or be a complication with having so much more into a digital field of like promotion? Sure,
yeah. So I think like stand-up has already become so digitalized. Like, you know, back when like I'll just name one of the biggest comics, like Jerry Seinfeld, for example. Like when he was coming up as a comic, like he didn't have social media and that kind of stuff. You just kind of went to clubs, kept showing what you can do. Now it's like you don't even have to show your faces at clubs as much, and people can just see you online, like Instagram, TikTok, all that stuff. Of course, like the being in person and showing up is important, but you also have to worry about that social media, your presence on there, and like making sure you're posting clips and like keeping that comedic persona, sort of, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So I think the major has definitely like helped me prepare for that kind of stuff.
And when you say social media, do you use more of Instagram to perform or present yourself, or is it on TikTok now, since that's something that's still...
It's those two apps are definitely like the competing ones for stand-up comics. Like TikTok's usually the one I post on, and I've done, like my videos have done pretty well on there. I'm trying to post more clips on Instagram, but like, you know, a lot of people I know and like my family follow me on there, so I'm like, oh, I gotta make sure I'm posting like not super explicit stuff, and but I am trying to post more on like all the apps, like Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook.
So
even.
Twitter has also been a platform that you've used.
Yeah.
And have you gotten some connections?
Yeah, definitely. I was in New York
Twitter.
this summer actually for an internship, and like most of the people I knew and like spent time with, even like other comics that I would hang out with or like do shows with, I knew through Twitter. So it's definitely like social media definitely helps you connect with people. I mean, that's obvious, but like definitely like in the stand-up community.
So from what it sounds like then, it means it's more of the cities that you go to that have more presence on one app than the other. Because as you said, in New York, then they use more of an older school
I guess so. They still use like TikTok and that kind of stuff, but you know, Twitter has always been like my favorite social media app. I just love saying whatever comes to my mind and just sharing it with the world. So that's the one that I've met a lot of people on, but I feel like I said, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter are kind of, they're all kind of similar, and people still use all of them. So
right.
Yeah.
And so with that internship that you did in New York, what were you specifically working on, or what was the goal of that internship?
So I was interning for Comedy Central. So I was
wow, that's a big one.
Yeah. So I was doing it's called brand creative marketing. Okay. So it's like any promotion that you see, like a commercial that you see on there, like that's what I would help with. So I would help with like the editing of it. Mostly like, since I was an intern, mostly like overseeing that stuff. Not overseeing, but like, you know, watching people do it. But then I would be able to help like write some stuff, like write scripts for the commercials, you know, editing, production, watch all that kind of stuff. And yeah.
That was very cool. And it was for the full summer?
Yeah, I was there all summer, yeah.
And you got credit for a class?
I did, yeah.
Okay, that's a great opportunity to have been in New York for the summer.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was great to be able to do comedy while I was there too. I got to get like school credit while also doing comedy, so it was awesome.
Right, and it was all paid for too, or
no?
Oh,
luckily my family is originally from New Jersey, New York area, so I was able to pull some strings there, but no, they didn't pay for any of it.
It's okay.
Don't mean to bash Comedy Central, but
that's okay. But at least having your parents there, they were able to come out and see you on stage.
Yeah, like I got to live with my aunt and uncle, so they got to see me. It was really cool getting my extended family to see what I do.
Oh, absolutely.
So, yeah.
To have that support, especially in a very big audience viewing, you know, presence, that's important to have that support.
Yeah, definitely.
And then, so back to, you know, because you are a student in the USF community here, how have you benefited, those skills from this internship that you've done now? You have this semester to finish out, and you have the spring, right? Because we graduate in the spring.
Yeah.
What do you plan on reaching with the final stretch that we have from this internship now that you've done?
Yeah, I think just the experience I've gained, like at the internship especially, and also like just the classes I've taken, like they've taught me to do pretty much everything with communications. Like I feel much more confident going into the workforce, and I plan on going back to Comedy Central after I graduate, so I get to kind of do that and just keep working with them. So I got that, that experience helped me get to there. And then like I said before, like just everything I've learned in the classes have taught me how to kind of navigate the digital world that we're in now, and how it affects stand-up and whatever I do for work and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
And then just present yourself, right?
Yeah.
And in the world afterwards, have those resumes put out, the cover letters, and recommendation letters too, right?
Yeah.
Those are very important to put out, especially if you're going back into Comedy Central. That would be, you would have so much more now that not everybody else would have.
Yeah, it's definitely like experience helps you like network even more. And then I've also just learned how to network through school and comedy. So I feel like everything that I've done over the past few years has kind of tied all together.
Tied it all together.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. And I hope that, as we finish up the semester, over the winter break, do you plan on having anything exciting to do stand-up comedy-wise, or are you?
Yeah, that's actually, like I was talking about before, like juggling school and stand-up and work. My two jobs are like I work a job here at USF, and then I work a job at like a middle school. So they're going to be out for Christmas and holiday and stuff. So I'm going to have more free time to do stand-up, to write, do that kind of stuff. So that I'm looking forward to. So yeah, I'm going to try and hit more cities and
try to expand
all around
out of Florida.
Yeah.
Do you want to be out of state to try some venues outstate, or stay in Florida?
That would be awesome. I'm planning a couple trips in the spring. So yeah, I mean, if I travel to a city, I'm definitely going to try and do some stand-up there. So that's definitely in the works.
Wonderful. And I guess on a final note, any advice that you can give for time management with being so occupied with your stand-up and with academics?
Yeah. Definitely helps to have people like my mom who's like, you better, like if you don't do well in school, you're not allowed to do stand-up anymore. And so I think just people to hold you accountable is definitely good. I've always been pretty good with time management, but it's also like just keeping a planner, making sure you don't overextend yourself and double book yourself. You just have to stay on top of things. You can't slack. And it's very, very stressful, but I think it's all worth it. So. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, I think that's all the time we have for today, Sierra. Again, thank you so much for coming on
thanks
our
so much for
webcast.
having me. Yeah.
I learned a lot. Maybe I'll try stand-up comedy. Who knows?
That would be awesome. We need more women. So.
We'll represent the female community, right?
Yeah.
And again, thank you guys all for tuning in to the Bullcast. We'll look forward to having one more final episode next Wednesday at 6 p.m. We'll see you then. Have a good evening.